Hello and welcome. In this presentation, we will discuss how to navigate common costs associated with launching a new childcare program or growing an existing one. The information contained here has been prepared by Civitas Strategies on behalf of the New Mexico Early Childhood Education and Care Department, West, and Growing Up New Mexico, and is not intended to constitute legal, tax, or financial advice. The Civitas Strategies team has used reasonable efforts in collecting, preparing, and providing this information, but does not guarantee its accuracy, completeness, adequacy, or currency. The publication and distribution of this information is not intended to create, and receipt does not constitute an attorney-client or any other advisory relationship. Reproduction of this information is expressly prohibited. Only non-commercial uses of this work are permitted. Even before you open or expand your childcare business, you will have many expenses that you will need to pay for. You will need to consider the cost of licensing, materials, supplies, staffing, including staff training, marketing, equipment, and so much more. This list doesn't even include what you might need to pay for to secure your location and make sure it is up to code and ready to serve young children. Planning ahead and developing a spending strategy can seem overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. In today's conversation, you will learn how to plan for spending, identify your funding sources and costs, including startup and operational costs, and how to develop a plan for any additional funding that may be needed. Once you have decided to open a new childcare business or expand your current operation, your first thought is likely about where you will find the money to do so. There are two types of costs to consider as you prepare: startup costs and operational costs. Startup costs are the costs associated with launching your new or expanded childcare business. Operational costs are how much it costs to continue to run your business once it's open. You'll need to consider both types of expenses. Your startup budget should include a list of everything you need to launch your new childcare business. These costs will usually fall into the following categories: personnel, which includes your staff wages, benefits, and payroll taxes. This should also include training expenses. Supplies, which would be classroom, office, and general building supplies. Equipment, such as classroom and office furniture, outdoor equipment, and technology. Construction or renovation costs. Operating costs like rent or mortgage, utilities, communications, and insurance. Marketing and advertising. Permitting fees, taxes, and an other or miscellaneous category. Think through your expansion or startup project and put together a list of all your anticipated expenses and cost estimates within these categories. Include as much detail as possible, including how much you expect each part to cost you. Most business startups will involve you spending money before you begin to bring in much revenue. Since you may not have any revenue to invest in your business, you will need to identify the sources that this initial funding will come from. Your list of funding sources will include sources that are already committed, pending, or anticipated, and how much each will contribute. For example, if you need financing for your startup, you will want to understand if those funds are already in the process of being paid to you or what the likelihood of receiving them will be. Take a moment to list all of your available funding sources and whether there are any restrictions on how you use those funds, like the example seen here. Now that you have identified all your expenses and your funding sources, you can match your available funding to your anticipated costs. Set up a simple list or a table like the one shown here. As you begin to assign a funding source to each anticipated cost, make sure that you prioritize how to pay for these costs. Look at any barriers you have to opening a childcare program or expanding, and then prioritize those areas with your funding. If you have areas that need to be updated due to safety concerns, such as your kitchen area, fire suppression system, fencing, and or security needs, then prioritize your funds for that area. Additionally, look at your larger expenses. Payroll is usually the biggest expense a center has. For a home, it could be your ongoing rent or mortgage and utilities payments. Once you have completed allocating your available funding toward your anticipated costs, you may find yourself in a situation where you still need additional funding. There are a couple of steps that you can take to make a plan to effectively fund your project. First, revisit your pricing. Ensure your pricing or tuition is accurate and up to date. Oftentimes, childcare businesses underprice their services in efforts to increase access to care or aim towards fuller enrollment. However, as a business, it is important to ensure that your pricing accurately reflects the needs of your business and sets you up for financial success. Next, trim your costs. Are all your expenses necessary? Look at your budget and see if there is any trimming or postponing that can be done. Look at recurring costs like subscriptions or items that you can put on a list for future goals. Don't forget to look at automation options that can help you better manage your time. You may also explore loan options. Taking out a loan is a big responsibility. However, sometimes the benefit will outweigh the risks of taking on additional debt. Bootstrapping is a term that refers to starting a business using a combination of personal savings and revenue generated by the business to fund its growth. Businesses that opt for this approach may experience slower growth, but may also in turn have less debt and therefore greater profit. While it requires a bit of penny pinching, planning, and continual reinvestment in your business, it also means you retain full control and ownership without taking on any external debts. Once your program is up and running, you will have regular operational costs to cover as well. Here are 2 steps you can take to make sure you are well prepared and your business is set up for success. Step 1, develop a monthly budget. When planning for your business, a budget functions like a detailed map that guides your financial journey, outlining your planned route and helping you avoid detours. A budget is a simple tool that will help you plan ahead for what you expect to spend as well as what you expect to receive in terms of revenue. Create your budget by gathering your income and expense documentation for your business, building out estimates by month, and then tracking actuals to improve your estimates. Step 2, create your cash flow forecast. Where your budget is your financial roadmap, a cash flow is a compass that orients you in real time, indicating your immediate financial direction and allowing you to adjust course as needed to stay on track. In its simplest form, a cash flow is a comparison between your expenses and your income that helps you to understand how much cash your business will have on hand each month. By using a comparison of historic timeframes and scenarios, your cash flow can give you the best, base, and worst case cash positions to help you plan ahead. Be sure to consider your startup costs as well as the time it takes to reach full enrollment when you open, as both will impact your cash flow. Need more help? Visit www.crisairenm.org to find our contact information, sign up for coaching, Crisair New Mexico provider resources, ECECD recommended tools to help build your business, and more. All resources are available in English and Spanish.